XFL lost an estimated $60 million in its reboot season. It's not all doom and gloom. I think it was good that they finished the season. There's between 75 to 100 athletes, XFL athletes right now, trying out on NFL practice squads around the country, which is very, very positive piece of news for the XFL, because like we discussed a few weeks ago, the XFL could become this league that feeds the NFL talent, and it could encourage a lot more participation and involvement, especially in terms of resources from the NFL moving forward, especially with the ownership at hand, very open and getting very creative with their approach. I think that's positive. The loss, I think, is expected, especially when you have to host so many people and have so many people travel around, and there's no owners. You're pretty much paying for everything. So I think that 60 million is quite reasonable, if you ask me. What are your thoughts?
I think that was expected. I agree. They checked the box. They finished the season. They're seeing players that played in their league getting the opportunity to in NFL camps while the USFL is still playing. XFL players are working out in NFL camps. They have what they believe next year, based on sponsor commitments and some of their other cost reduction. I think they're looking at working to be a little bit more efficient in some areas. They're projecting $100 million profit next year, which is obviously a very bold projection, but they finished the season. They had fairly decent ratings. They weren't terrible.
That was strong. That was solid.
Yeah,
that was solid.
Yeah, they were solid. Yeah. And so as they move, and as they move into next year, Disney is a partner, and they've got a whole nother year to promote. They're going to make. I think they've made their first coaching change, but you're going to have a whole new crop of players, coming into this league. You will have some of those 75 to 80 players that are in training camps. A couple of them are going to make the league, and they're going to promote the heck out of that. They're going to promote the heck out of 4, 5, 6 guys on NFL active rosters, even if on practice squads. That's because that's the goal of the 54th man, was to give that guy that shot that he wasn't getting before.
Exactly.
And so that story will perpetuate. I think the football will get better. I think it will get better. Coaches will coach better. Players will playing better. You'll get more guys coming out of college that maybe got cut from NFL teams that are looking for that chance. I mean, you're going to get hungry dudes in that league. I think you'll see more and more player involvement. You'll see more features. You'll find some great stories. So advertisers will that maybe sat on the sidelines this year, going to step in and get involved next year. Those that were part of it this year re-up, and they re-up for a little tick. So I think that number will come down. The question was, will we see a profit? Obviously, that's going to come from you got to have more ticket sales. Because obviously the way they were doing the the system of practicing in one place and then sending them out to the home markets. I mean, the goal is to sell more tickets. And now for the first time they've got a season behind them and a season to sell on into the next season. And really an ownership group that's like, hey, we're not dying. We're not going away. We're not running out of money. So that it's that sustainability and that continuity that will lead to more sponsorship for the local teams, the ability to sell more tickets, for the league itself to sell more advertisers, and those are all positive in the financial department, and that 60 million I would say part of that was some amortized costs that, to start up again. So next year you're not going to have to assume some of those costs. Um, you know, so some of the costs will come down, revenues will go up, so that number will certainly squeeze. And look, if they turn a profit next year, that's huge. That's huge. That'll be a huge win for a league that died twice. Um, once once by their own hand, and the other one by a pandemic. But this time around, I thought they did a great job. I think strategically starting early so that they'd finish early so that players would be eligible in for these mini camps. I think it's gonna work in their favor. And that's certainly to be seen. But no one on our side was shocked by that number. I think no one's been discouraged by it. From a that we're worried about the league. I think the ownership, was prepared for that. But I think they're in it for the long haul. Let's see what next year brings. I'm excited to see it. I think the sports community has an appetite for a spring league. To your point, so I think we may see some consolidation at some point, that they blend in, or maybe what we see is the XFL, expanding in other markets. Getting creative, doing something, and we're seeing some success in the love of the game in Europe. We're seeing obviously the NFL going over there and playing more games. Do we see a Canadian franchise? Do we see maybe an XFL team in Mexico? Who knows? But I wouldn't put it past The Rock or Disney to come up with those ideas and be able to move much quicker than the league than the NFL would as it relates to getting ownership approval for those kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's that these are the markets that they have to go after. They're sort of filling in the gaps here, where the
Yeah,
NFL hasn't gone for whatever reason. They could potentially go and build a small market that's viable enough to stay alive, build an audience, build the fan base over time, and come and compete on the big stage, the greatest country in the world, the biggest stage in the world, America. So this is what it comes down to. It comes down to how creative they get. The Rock said he's invested in this for the long term. He came out last week and said it. He goes, "I'm in it for the long journey. I'm not in it to make a quick buck. We expected this. We're happy to move forward. We made great progress. We finished the season, and we have 75 to 100 young athletes participating in practice camps around the NFL. That move there, so they finish in time just for those practice camps, is absolutely brilliant. Very smart.
hmm
We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that before from previous XFL owners. So it's good that he's thinking that way. Too many people were trying to take on the NFL before, so that's never going to work. This guy said, "Why don't we plug the hole? Why don't we become an asset for the NFL, right?" And so be it. It happens. It happens that we take over one day, no problem. But we can become the biggest league in the springtime, and that's it. Move on.
yeah. A bounce back for guys cut, and a place for guys that are finishing their
Miss
college careers. Needing a little bit more seasoning, a stopping point on the way up. To get some more
exactly,
reps. And
exactly.
that's certainly good. I think we're nobody watched those games expecting NFL quality of play, but we saw some. We don't expect that on Friday Night Lights either. So we just enjoy the game, and the more familiar names we start seeing, from colleges or guys that maybe are trying to get that one last chance, coming back from an injury, whatever it is. Um, the Rock is really, he wears that number 54 to every time he comes to a practice because it's a message he drives home personally from his own experience. Um,
Yeah,
he never made it there.
he
He
was
was
that
that
young
guy.
talent that needed that bit more time
Yeah,
potentially.
and he didn't have it,
Uh,
and
no, we
so
didn't.
he went into wrestling, and he did okay. But he doesn't. At the end of the day, when you have unfinished business like that in your life, I mean, he is kind of manifested that into this new XFL and giving those guys that opportunity, and and to your point, it's paying off. I think they need to adjust their playoff system because you can't have a team with a losing record and a team, with one of the top records in the league, one make it and one not, those kinds of things. But hey, those are scheduling glitches, or those are results glitches that just so happen to play out that way. But hey, overall, great, look, a successful year. They finished. 2, they've got players competing in the NFL and NFL camps. 3, they're coming back for the next year. They've got the momentum, and I think that will be something that we'll all be looking forward to, moving forward to see. We know that St. Louis is going to sell tickets. They did fantastic this year in filling the dome. San Antonio, did a great job hosting the first, XFL championship again. And look, I think some of these other markets are gonna step up, and you got a great promoter in The Rock. He's going to make a couple more movies, and he can cover that $60 million loss no problem. He's got the Fast 11, Fast and Furious 11 coming up, and he's probably got a Jumanji 3, and I don't know. He's probably got something else in the works.
Look
He's
out,
one of the hardest working guys in Hollywood, and certainly he's out there promoting like hell for the XFL.
look out for the Netflix-like documentary of the setting up for the XFL. Guaranteed
Yeah,
that's coming.
it's coming.
Guaranteed on Disney
Yeah,
Plus. Boom.
yeah.
It's
Oh
over.
yeah, oh yeah. Their own version of
Guaranteed.
Hard Knocks. It's going to be the
Exactly.
Rock Knocks.
Exactly. Like all these sporting documentaries that we're seeing in today's world, these series through Wrexham and Sunderland Till I Die, and all these, they're so popular that, like, if The Rock hasn't thought of this, I'd be shocked. But I guarantee you that there's a series coming.
Coming.
It's
Yeah,
only a
you're
matter
right.
of time. Yeah. So, and I think it'll get massive numbers too. So, because everyone wants that insight onto how they've set up this league over the last 2 years and how they finished the whole season, right? Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Rob, once again. Week in, week out, you're definitely here for us. And to everybody who's tuned in and will be listening to us through our podcast channels, thank you all. Take care, everyone. And that's all from us. Peace.
Take care.